So we're just going to get right on into this one. We're taking a look at a prototype image that I just discovered on the Discord server. Someone actually shared it with me. I've never seen it before, so it's new to me specifically. I don't know how long this has been floating around, though. I don't know the validity of it even, but it was someone by the name of Jake on the Discord server, and I just want to say thank you for this because it involves not my favorite LEGO theme of all time, but it does involve my favorite wave from that theme, the successor to Bionicle, Hero Factory, and its invasion from below specifically. Let's go ahead and take a little bit of a closer look at this. So right off the bat, what do we see here? First things first, that set number. That is actually a set number that would be designated to a Brain Attack set specifically, the Jet Rocka set. I don't know if that's the actual name of it, but generally speaking, it's interesting to see this here. There are a couple other things that suggest that this may have been designed around that time. I don't know if Brain Attack was designed first, if this was designed first, whatever the case may be. Obviously, these sets get designed years in advance, though, from LEGO, right? And then we eventually get the set that they settle on. But you can see a couple of references here that make a lot of sense in that context, right? Bulk's helmet here is a reference to his 1.0 helmet, not his Brain Attack helmet. Whereas in the official Bulk Invasion from Below sets, the helmet that he has is kind of a hybrid of his 1.0 and his Invasion from Below. I'm not the biggest fan of the Invasion from Below helmet, but I think generally speaking, his minifigure helmet is okay. It's obviously a lot closer to that second version, and I know that there are a lot of people who like Bulk's 1.0 helmet, myself included. I will say here, though, it does feel a little bit clunky. Maybe that's in part just the proportions. Even with, like, Furno, you can see the proportions of the helmets are just a little bit off. Quite a bit taller than they would inevitably end up being. A little bit narrower, kind of egg-shaped towards the top, too, like myself. But generally speaking, I think it is interesting to see these characters both here. I imagine that it's painted silver because this does not look like LEGO's flat silver here at all, but the image quality is so poor I can't really tell you that for sure. That said, though, interesting to see the cores here in colors rather than white. I'm perfectly fine with the white ones. I'm perfectly fine with them being, plates, round plates, but tiles, that's the word, round tiles. But otherwise, in this set, I do see some other interesting things. So I'm actually a pretty big fan of the Queen Bee set overall from Invasion from Below. I think it's one of the better sets from the wave because you get a little bit of everything in that set, and you obviously get 3 heroes in it, which is pretty fantastic. I think overall, I don't know if the set comes with more pieces than this, but generally speaking, I think it's around a similar number. You just get more for it, if you will. No jumpers to be seen here. Maybe they hadn't been designed yet, but you can absolutely see that there's a canister on the back here suggesting that they were still in the minds of LEGO developers as this was going on. The machine here is trans orange and silver with a little bit of gunmetal, Bulk's traditional color scheme, and some black as well. Don't know how the build is on it, but hey, I might try and build it because why not? I don't have that windscreen, but I do have pieces that can replace it. And obviously, this being Invasion from Below, we probably would have gotten that. I mean, we know what windscreen we would have gotten because we got it. That said, the actual canister on the back here is existing LEGO pieces with the exception of this right here, which has no studs on top. The one that LEGO makes, the version of this piece that LEGO makes, has studs. It looks like they've been honestly kind of just cropped out pretty poorly too. So I think that is just that official piece, but with that removed. Interestingly, though, this to me does look silver and not dark gray. We can see next to it a dark gray bone piece, and the shine is not the same. There's a little hint of extra glitteriness to it that's shared with the silver armor pieces in the set, and even a hint of marbling in it. That could obviously be a rendering thing. It could be a photography thing. I don't know how these sets are presented. But that suggests to me that that may have been a silver recolor. Now, we know from Bionicle that we would get a silver recolor of a bone this length, not this version of the bone, obviously, but it is interesting to think that maybe, we could have seen it here as well. But I think generally speaking, pretty good set. I really love the prints on these shell pieces here. I think a version of that maybe slightly tapered a little bit to better match the proportions of the shell is actually really neat. It's kind of got a scale aesthetic to it, but also kind of a regal, chain link kind of armor sort of thing going on. I really like it. I think it's a very useful print overall. Obviously not a print that we would ever see. I would personally like it in a copper, but I think this is probably going to be orange or dark orange. Hard to say. That said, you can see we've got the Brain Attack core here as well. I think it's solid white though. I don't see any gray in there, but again, that could be an angle lighting thing. It's really hard to say. And clearly, this is Bulk's machine. Not just his color, but he is piloting it as well. I do see these beads on the end here, which suggest flick fire missiles, but I don't see any actual things that they're attached to, and I don't see anything to fire them. In fact, I see a rifle on the side here, which is interesting. No stud shooters, but, you know, I think they were developed with this wave, and obviously with Star Wars from this year as well. So, again, at this point, they hadn't been developed yet. It's an interesting vehicle overall. It's definitely not my favorite thing in the world, and I'm glad that we got the Queen Beast that we ended up getting. I really like the Spider Mech for its small size. It does everything you need it to do. It's perfectly serviceable build. That said, the Queen Beast here is actually a lot closer to her final model, but with way more gold. And obviously all of the gold kind of up top as well. More of sort of a hint of a crown up here, if you will, with these sort of spikes going on. I can't tell if that's just 2 spikes or if maybe there's a 3rd spike behind this one. I think it's just 2. But then you've also got this armor add-on piece up here, which is a proprietary piece. It clearly does not exist. It looks very interesting, and I kind of wish we would have gotten something like this, because I do generally like the aesthetic. The head mold and the chin mold are also close, but not exact to their final model, actually having a brow with like ridges underneath it, so there'd actually be a little bit of an indent beneath the brows on both the bottom jaw and the top jaw, and clearly a much longer protrusion of the chin in this case here, or the nose horn, depending on how you use this head. Clearly, they had still settled on the Queen Beast having the most eyes here, because you can see that there are 6 on each side. I can't remember, but I think the official model has 9 on each side. It is behind me. I'm not going to be able to see those details from here, though. And generally speaking, obviously, the gold pieces on here that exist outside of these specialized pieces are all pieces that exist within LEGO anyway. So if you wanted to build this version, minus, again, those custom pieces, you could. All of these pieces exist. That said, the feet pieces are obviously new. They don't look like this, which makes sense. LEGO was never going to make something this sharp that ended in this fine of a point. It's just not something they do. Anytime LEGO makes something with that comes to a point like this, they often cut off the end. It's too dangerous to just leave it sharp, especially depending on the material it's made of. But in nearly every case, LEGO's always going to chop that end off. There are obviously some exceptions with like accessories for minifigures and things like that, but generally speaking, especially for larger pieces like this, they, better safe than sorry, right? Obviously, you can also see it has these wedge plates on the back here in trans neon green. I imagine those come in that color. I'm honestly not sure. I do have them in other colors. We have them in trans bright green from Bionicle as well. And interestingly, it has fists on its hand, which I don't believe... No, it has claws in the official model, posable digits. So interesting to see just straight up hero fists here. But clearly designed after the fact, after those fists were made, which makes sense. It's all CCBS. The attachment to the core of the body is similar, but not the same as the final model. I don't know what torso it's using on the bottom here, because there are 3 ball joints. I'm guessing that's still the XT torso, but it's just kind of oriented in a weird way, or it just might be the way my brain is seeing it. But obviously there are some very short double sockets in the hips here, which is not the case for the official version. We obviously got bone pieces there with armor slapped on. So I do prefer the final model that we got for that reason, because the armor adds a little bit to it, makes it a little bit taller, and adds a lot more swivel to the waist, which it otherwise would have less of here. No Chima armor on the back, which makes sense, that piece was developed around the same time these were as well, and obviously no cocoon pod, at least not that we can see. I'm sure that they planned on adding something to the back. It's possible even that there are 6 legs here, because I do see another shell going off the back end. That could be for a tail, but that could be for a full-on extra leg there, right? And I even see like these extra sockets on the sides here, but it looks like those are the things that are connected to these wedge plates, which obviously would be replaced with those bone pieces that the official model gave us. So definitely interesting overall. I think it's a neat concept at the very least, right? It'd be fun to obviously take on these builds, kind of see where they improve on the sets, if they do at all, or where they fall short, right, of the final set. Because I think overall, like I said, the Queen Beast is one of the sets I really recommend from Invasion from Below. Obviously, it's one of the more expensive sets from that wave, but it's not awful in its price, especially if you buy it in parts or you buy it secondhand rather than going to like Bricklink or something. You can really find it for like 40, 50-ish, sometimes 30 if you're time it right. And I think the set when it came out was like 30 or 35. So all things considered, hasn't inflated that much. Do I think it's worth 40? I think, yeah, I think you'll enjoy it at that price. After that, I think it starts to be a little bit of diminishing returns. But if you're trying to collect maybe just all of the heroes from Invasion from Below, I've already listed how you can do that in a previous video. I'll have to remember which one it was. but you can buy just 4 Invasion from Below sets to get all of the figures across the board, and there are 7 of them total from that wave. Obviously, we have 9 figures in the world of, Invasion from Below. I 3D printed my own Stringer character, and I have a Stringer vehicle up there, which again, you can't really see in this video, unfortunately. And I didn't get them for the video because I didn't think about them, because I'm terrible at thinking ahead. But anyway, that's basically it. Again, if you guys want to see that, I should probably throw my Hero Factory videos into their own playlist. So if I have done that by this point, then you'll see it linked at the end of this video. If not, it'll be coming soon, and then you'll see it linked at the end of this video. So if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Really helps the channel out. I gotta get out of this room. I gotta do some other stuff. If you enjoy it, you can obviously take the conversation further over on the Discord, Instagram, and Patreon, all of which are linked on the description. And let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you like this version of the Queen Beast better? Do you like it worse? Or do you like it differently? Are there aspects of it that you think are an improvement or a whatever the opposite of an improvement is? Detriment? I don't know. My brain ain't doing words. Take care.